The game of golf for me is always something that I didn't really get into. I'd played a lot of sports when I was younger, football at school, and cricket. I played for quite a few local cricket teams. But golf was something that I never really took up, and I don't know why. But one of the reasons I got involved with it a little bit was when we were traveling the world with the racing. We'd get days off, obviously, or afternoons off, and a lot of the time, a lot of the guys would bring the clubs with them. Some of the mechanics, they used to put the clubs on the truck, so they'd always got them there. So that if we got any downtime, they'd be off to one of the local courses. I got a little bit envious of it, really, because I just couldn't play. So there was no point me going around hanging on or caddying for these guys or anything like that. So we'd probably end up in some local bar or sitting around the pool or things like that. But later on in life, I was probably sort of in my early 40s, really. I decided I wouldn't mind having a go at this. So I took it up pretty seriously and was playing a couple of times a week, and I was playing with good players. My game improved reasonably well. I was working for in Formula BMW, which was a support series to the British Touring Car Championship. And one of the ladies there, who's an absolute stalwart of motor racing, Annie Bradshaw, she was working as one of the PR ladies for BMW at the time. And she said to me one day, she said, Ed, she said, you play golf, don't you? And I said, well, I'm not fantastic. She said, do you fancy putting a team in? And I said, well, what's this for? And she says, well, Sir Jackie Stewart has got a charity golf day arranged at Sunningdale, Sunningdale's one of the most prestigious golf courses that there is. And she said, we've got a space if you'd like to put a team in. And she said, every team will be playing with a celebrity. And she says, if you want to put a 4-ball in, she said, let's sort it out. And I says, oh, okay, that we'd be playing with. And she says, well, you'd be playing with David Coulthard. And I thought, okay, well, that'll be some fun anyway. That'll be an experience. So I'd got another guy who was playing on the Euro Pro Tour. He's a fellow that had a few rounds of golf with. His name was Kevin Hinton. And the Euro Pro Tour is one step below the PGA Tour. So he was a pretty damn good golfer. So I thought, well, I'll invite him to come down as well. So we head off to Sunningdale, and we're there in the morning for the usual breakfast, the breakfast rolls and the coffees, and mingling around, and just the great and the good started arriving. It was a whole list of people who we used to see people in the pit lane and that, but a lot of these people, they were just legends. And you would, people like Henry Cooper, Will Carling at the time, Dame Kirita Kanawa, the opera singer. There was Ron Dennis. There was Kevin Waitley, who was in Auf Wiedersehen Pet. Jimmy Hill. Marie Jordan, who were both very good golfers. Marie was a terrific player. But we're hanging around waiting for our tea time. And if you know golf, what they do, it was a bit of a shotgun start. So some people started on the first tee, close to the clubhouse, and some people would start out on the 9th hole. And essentially that was out of the way a little bit. Unfortunately for me, I got drawn to play in front of all of the gallery of people who turned up to watch. And I was teeing off in front of the clubhouse or on the first tee. David Coulthard had turned up with this guy called Joel Cadbury, and they'd got there late, and they'd had a pretty heavy night in the Groucho Club the night before. So they weren't exactly in much of a state to play golf. But anyway, I'm there. I teed my ball up on the tee, and I thought, I've played on stages in front of thousands of people, playing with bands, playing with drums and everything. I'm comfortable with that. I wasn't comfortable playing in front of all these people, teeing off, playing golf. And if you don't know what nerves are, stand on a golf tee with all of these eyes at the back of your head. Anyway, sure enough, I teed the ball up. took a swing at it with my driver and knocked it about 10 yards past the ladies' tee. Well, it was as much as I could do because the tradition, if you can't hit it past the ladies' tee, you generally have to walk. In some golf clubs, you have to walk to the next tee with your trousers around your ankles. Well, it was obviously not something I was going to do for that. But anyway, as the round went on, we started to get a little bit better, and we were really enjoying the day. Again, it was such a privilege to be a part of something like that. And anyway, we finished the round, and I think we finished, I don't know, probably in the last 5 or 6, because we were good players. Kevin, who I was playing with, I think he won the longest drive, but he was a proper golfer. So we're in the auspicious surroundings of Sunningdale in the clubhouse. And I remember Ron Dennis coming up to David Coulthard and saying, "What the hell are you doing here?" He said, "You're supposed to be in Monza." And Coulthard said, "Yes, Ron, do you think we can get a plane out there later this afternoon?" And Ron said, "Get yourself down to whichever was the local airport to Sunningdale." He says, "And get over to Monza and get your arse in the McLaren for testing tomorrow." So unfortunately, David, we'd had some pictures taken, and David managed to sign one for me, which was fabulous. But then he was off and he wasn't available for the dinner. Well, they put us all around these tables for dinner, and Jackie Stewart got up and did a fabulous speech. And it was all his campaign against dyslexia. And Jackie, he's always good value, does a great speech. But I was on a table with an incredible array of people that included Peter Shilton, the ex-England goalkeeper, Jody Scheckter, Ferrari world champion, Lord Rocco Forte, who owned the Forte group of hotels, David Lloyd, obviously the ex-tennis player, went on to make an absolute fortune with the David Lloyd health clubs. And the guy that I was sat next to was Princess Anne's son, Peter Phillips. And a lovely guy, airs and graces about him at all. And one thing I noticed was sort of crossed his legs and he'd got a pair of shoes on with a great big hole in the sole. And I thought, that is typical aristocracy. They don't give a monkeys. No, it was great. It was a fabulous experience to play somewhere like that. Even better to play on a golf course such as Sunningdale, because the average hacker like me, you don't tend to play these type of courses. So it was fabulous. Carried on playing golf over the years. I get older, my swing gets slower, my aim gets a little less true, but I enjoy it. And it was one of the benefits of being in the job that I did and knowing some of the people that I did, that I got these opportunities, and this was certainly a fantastic one. But my name's Ed Taylor. Page is called No Team Orders, and we're telling you lots of silly stories really about times, my days in motorsport and beyond. There'll be some more coming up soon. Okay, thank you very much.